What's up, my wizards? It's Dev, SBMTG down there, YouTube.com. We like magic, all that stuff. Friday, Amonkhet spoilers. So far today, we haven't seen a god, we haven't seen a planeswalker, but we have seen a bunch of like really weird, janky stuff. That's like really tough to evaluate. So, got my work cut out for me. Let's go ahead and get into it. Here's Julie. She's here now. But anyway, before I get into the like weird stuff and the competitive playable stuff, I'm going to stop real quick and take a second to talk about 3 cards that I think may be good in Limited and probably nowhere else, although I may be wrong about one of them. So, here they are right here. Nimble Blade, Kenra, Supply Caravan, and Winged Shepherd right here. Nimble Blade is 2 mana, 1 and a red for a 1/3 Jackal Warrior with prowess, so it's basically Sanguinary Mage with not quite as good of a creature type, at least from what we know so far. Supply Caravan is 5 mana, 4 and a white for a 3/5 Camel. Hey, it's Camel. When Supply Caravan enters the battlefield, if you control a tapped creature, create a 1/1 white warrior creature token with Vigilance. So that goes pretty well with Exert or just anytime you're attacking. And a 5 mana 3/5 isn't the worst thing ever in Limited already, and when it comes with a 1/1 with Vigilance, that's not bad at all. So that's okay. But Winged Shepherd is the one that looks the most interesting and the most playable in Limited too. It's 6 mana, 5 and a white for a 3/3 Angel with Flying and Vigilance, and you can cycle it for just a white. Well, anything that cycles for just 1 mana, I won't completely count out of competitive play. In some kind of weird deck that just wants to cycle everything, we'll actually talk about that a little bit later on in this video. So this might see some sort of fringe play in a weird combo deck, but outside of that, the stats aren't there for competitive, but it's pretty playable and Limited. Among all the weirdness today, we actually got what looks to be a competitive playable piece of artifact hate that could be in the main deck of some lists. So let's check this out right here. This is Dissenter's Deliverance, which is a really cool name. It's 1 and a green for an instant destroy target artifact, and you can cycle it for just a green mana. Well, this could be main deckable, for shiz. Like, this actually has a target against most decks in the format, and if it doesn't have a target, you can just cycle it for a green. Like, 1 mana to draw a card is always a good deal, and we're seeing an awful lot of that in this set. So, card looks fantastic. It could be a main deckable piece of actual artifact hate in this format. And, you know, for the record, Manglehorn also looks like a main deck piece of artifact hate. We talked about that yesterday. But one thing I didn't talk about, and apparently, according to my comments section, a whole lot of YouTubers didn't talk about, is that Manglehorn is even better than we once thought. Like, I didn't catch this at first, but Manglehorn also stops cat combo because all the copies of Guardian that Saheeli is making are artifacts. So they all come into play tapped and they can't attack you that turn, and they all just exile the EOT. So like, the Manglehorn is even better than we thought. It stops like everything. So Manglehorn is the main deck piece of artifact hate in the format, but this is nipping at its heels. This is also fantastic. Cycling for just 1 mana is great. While we're talking about stuff that might be competitive playable, but we don't quite know yet, here's Angel of Sanctions. Let's take a look at this. This is 5 mana, 3 and 2 white for a 3/4 Angel with Flying, of course. And when Angel of Sanctions enters the battlefield, you may exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls until Angel of Sanctions leaves the battlefield. And you can embalm it for 5 and a white. Okay, so this is pretty neat. 5 mana, 3/4 flyer, not the absolute best stats right now in this format, but the fact that it gets to O-ring something when it comes into play. As a matter of fact, any non-land permanent, that is just really super sweet. You can hit planeswalkers and artifacts and enchantments and stuff. All of that seems pretty important, but of course you can always just hit creatures too. And if they manage to kill it, sure, they'll get their thing back, but you'll get your angel back too, presumably. And you can either just exile that same thing again, or maybe they got something else that looks good. So, like, the fact that this is removal twice on a flying body makes it, of course, ridiculous in Limited environments, but this might make a jump to standard depending on what happens. Right now, a 5 mana 3/4 flyer, even one that does this, even one that does it twice, might not be the most desirable thing, but hey, I mean, a flyer that comes back and exiles something twice, yeah, I mean, that's at least probably playable. Now, the last 5 cards that I'm going to talk about today are all like kind of weird in one way or another. A lot of them look like jank, but they could be amazing. So let's take a look at these one by one because there's a lot to talk about. First of all, here's Cruel Reality right here. It costs 7 mana, so it better be amazing. That's 5 and 2 black. For an enchantment, it's actually a curse. It's an aura curse. Enchant player. At the beginning of enchanted player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. If the player cannot, he or she loses 5 life. Okay, so eventually you'll run them out of creatures and planeswalkers entirely, and they'll just have to start taking 5, and they'll eventually lose. But this costs 7 mana. This costs 7 mana, and it doesn't like win you the game immediately. Like against tokens, it's god awful, right? So like this card is probably really, really bad. But if you can like cheat it out somehow really, really early, it's probably decent. But I mean, if you're gonna cheat out a 7 mana card early, it's probably not this, to be honest with you. Although we could make like a fun little deck around it. Just ramp this out on like turn 4. It is not hard to make 7 mana by turn 4, but getting the 2 black might be a problem. But in any case, like that'd be fun and all, but it doesn't win immediately at all. So I'm not sure about it. It certainly looks hilarious, but whether or not it's actually playable, I don't think so. Weirdness, number 2 right here. This is Bounty of the Luxa. This is 4 mana. That's 2, a green and a blue for an enchantment. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, remove all flood counters from Bounty of the Luxa. If no counters are removed this way, put a flood counter on it and draw a card. Otherwise, if you did have to remove stuff from it, add a colorless, a green, and a blue to your mana pool. Okay, so you play this, presumably on turn 4 in Standard. You could cheat it in on turn 3, and that would be way better, but let's just go by the curve of the card. You play it on turn 4. Next turn, you didn't remove anything from it, so you draw an extra card. 5th turn, you draw an extra card. 6th turn, you'll get 3 extra mana, so if you hit every land drop, then you'll have 9 mana. If you have a ramp guy, you'll have 10, so on 6th turn, you can cast Ulamog. And really, I don't see any way to get this before turn 3 in Standard, at least. So there's that. In Modern, I guess you could do stuff with it, but I don't necessarily like it. Basically, every other turn, you'll draw a card. You know, you'll play it. It doesn't do anything the turn you play it, which kind of sucks. You'll on your next pre-combat main phase, your first main phase, you'll draw a card. Next turn, you'll get mana. Then you'll draw a card next turn. Then after that, you'll get mana. So, I mean, you could probably plan something out around this. The extra mana seems great. And sure, I guess with stuff like Plunderer and Malfist Revolutionary, you could always put, like, stuff on this the turn it comes into play. I just don't think that any of that is worth it. I don't think that any of that is worth it, even though that Plunderer and Revolutionary are on color with this. I don't see it. Maybe, like, sitting down and getting some turn sequences actually mapped out would be of benefit, but I don't see it. There's just way better stuff you could be doing at this much mana and in this format, and there's probably stuff that ramps you better than this too. So I'm just boo, probably. I don't know, maybe. Here's Champion of Rodas right here. This is so far the newest card on the day. It's 4 mana, 3 and a green for a 3/3 Jackal Warrior. You may exert Champion of Rodas as it attacks. When you do, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. Alright, so there's things I don't like and do like about this guy. We'll start with what I do like, because honestly, this is looks like at least, a fairly easy way to cheat a creature into play. You know, it's just 4 mana. It doesn't have to, like, do combat damage. That's pretty cool. We don't have to pay mana for it or anything. There are not too many hoops on the surface that one has to jump through to get this card to just, drop something huge. On turn 5, we'll say. You can cheat this into play in Standard pretty easily on turn 3, and then hopefully they don't remove it, and you get that swing off with it on turn 4, drop your Ulamog. That's the dream and all, but that dream usually does not come true with cards like this. So you always have to temper your expectations. I mean, it's really, really easy to kill this guy, and as soon as you drop him and you don't give him haste and you say go, your opponent's going to have to kill him. Your opponent's going to have to kill him, and for competitive play, you have to assume your opponent will be able to kill him. That's how competitive mindset works. So you have to give this guy haste. You have to give this guy haste to maximize the chance that you have of swinging with him safely. And for that matter, you probably have to back him up with Blossoming Defense. Now we're at 6 mana, and yeah, you're still cheating that Ulamog into play. And at this point, with giving him haste, you're doing it as a surprise, which is all good. And you can probably still do this on turn 5. But question is that good enough? We've already got Marvel decks that could theoretically cheat an Ulamog into play on turn 4, and they don't see any play. And they actually get to cast it. They actually get to get cast triggers off. And we don't with this. So I'm just not really sure that a creature that we have to go way out of our way to protect and probably give haste to is really where we want to be in this format. Although it'll probably be a good budget deck. And for people saying this is good in Modern, probably not. Probably not. People are saying it's a better Elvish Piper. Maybe, like, this could see some Commander play, but even then, not 100%. Although, again, good things. All you have to do is get in one swing with it, you can cheat a guy into play. That's pretty good. Now here's a card right here. This is New Perspectives. This is 6 mana, 5 and a blue for an enchantment. When New Perspective enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards. As long as you have 7 or more cards in hand, you may pay 0 rather than paying cycling costs. 0. 0 rather than pay cycling costs. Okay, so let's talk. A couple of people on Mythic Spoiler have already pointed out some things. First of all, graphic. The Decree Cycle. Decree Cycle looks okay with this, especially Decree of Annihilation. Also, the Resounding Cycle looks even better, especially the red resounding thing, Resounding Thunder. That looks pretty hilarious. Also, Laboratory Maniac has been pointed out by some people. Cycle your whole deck, win with Maniac, so there are some things, and while I've got the graphic up, by the way, people have asked if this works with things like land cycling, sliver cycling, wizard cycling. Yes, as a matter of fact, it does. In Standard, I imagine this is pretty evil with Archfiend of Ifnir, so there's that, but 6 mana is a lot. 6 mana is an awful lot, and you got to cheat this into play somehow. If you want it to be super awesome, probably, although it does draw you 3 cards right off the rip. Drawing 3 cards is really, really good, because all you have to have is like 5 cards in your hand. You have to have this, 4 other cards, and then you have 7 cards in your hand. And then, well, you cycle for maybe ever at that point. So, the card does look like it's probably got some kind of ridiculous combo engine. Drake Haven is a thing, although you have to pay mana to get Drake Haven to go off. So maybe we'll see other stuff, but that's just Standard. We've also got Astral Slide to work with, which is new BFFs with this card probably. There's probably ridiculous infinite combos, almost infinite at least, that you can pull off there. So that looks fun too. So there's definitely stuff that you can do with this, but 6 mana is a lot. Like 6 mana is so much, guys. That is so much. But if you can get the card into play, it definitely looks like it can do some really hilarious stuff for you. So there's that. But here's maybe my favorite card in the day. I hate to admit, but it might be. This is Approach of the Second Sun right here. It's 6 mana too. That's a lot. 6 and a white for a sorcery. If Approach of the Second Sun was cast from your hand, and you cast another spell named Approach of the Second Sun this game, you win the game. If not, you gain 7 life and put Approach of the Second Sun back into your library as the 7th card from the top. Okay, so a couple of nifty things that people have pointed out so far with this card. First of all, the first one can get countered, and it doesn't necessarily matter. As long as you've cast a spell named this at some point in the game, it didn't even have to resolve. As long as the second one resolves, you win the game. So that's pretty cool. You didn't even have to resolve the first one. The other thing is Aetherworks Marvel. People are pointing out that basically, sure, it has to be cast from your hand the second time to win the game, but all you have to do is cast the first one, activate Marvel. That removes the top 6 cards, and you get something to cast for free, by the way, and that guarantees that you'll draw this on the next turn, because it's 7 cards from the top at that point. So that seems pretty cool, too. This could also just be the win condition in a control deck, and you don't even have to play more than one, but you probably do. You just play all 4, cast one turn, the second one the next turn, and hey, you just won the game. So that's cool. But you could presumably only play 1 copy of this and win the game if your control deck can lock the game down tight enough. So there's also that. I actually think this is a win condition that might try it, at least try to see some play. God knows I'm going to try. I love alternate win conditions, and so do a lot of people. So, going to try and make this work. I definitely think that it could be fun, especially in a control deck that plays like 0 creatures as win conditions, and you blank all of your opponent's removal. This could be a really cool win condition, so we're going to give it a shot. And not for nothing, it gains you 7 life if you do resolve it the first time, so, that at least keeps you in the game against some board states. Just gaining 7 life and not affecting the board state isn't amazing, but it's at least a pseudo fog. You'll get an extra turn off a lot of the time. Like, it helps you get an extra turn off so that next turn you can play the second one. That's cool. But that is all the cards from today. If they spoil any while I'm editing, I'll make sure to get back on camera and add them to the video, because who knows? Like, Wizard just spoils cards whenever they want to. So if they spoil more, I'll make sure to tell you guys about them. Let me know how you felt about all these cards today, because there is some weird stuff that's either like hit or total miss, and it really, really helps to have multiple eyes on this, multiple brains on this, evaluating these cards, because some of these look really, really weird, and they could be awful, or they could be the next big thing. Like, some of these look freaking stupid, but you never know. You never know. Like, these could be amazing. Like, there were 5 weird cards today. I wouldn't put it past 1 or 2 of them to be incredible. So let me know how you felt about all of these today, and also like the video if you liked it. Follow me on Twitter. SBMTGDev is my handle. That's cool, because then you can like and share videos on Twitter. That helps me out too, like more than you could possibly imagine. You could also sub, because that helps too. Just do me a solid and do the things. Hit the bell, get the notifications. Just, you know, that would be awesome of all of you. Anyway, I'm Dev. This is Julie from SBMTG. You know her. She just got a bath today, so she's like slightly grumpy, but you know, you gotta bathe kitty sometimes. But you seem like you're okay again now. But in any case, if you like the video, do the YouTube stuff and tune in for more spoilers probably tomorrow, but maybe later on tonight. I will see you guys later. I'm Deb from SBMTG. Thanks for watching, my wizards.